How are you guys doing?
Fine.
Alhamdulillah, good. The Hijrah about 2 weeks ago, and I believe the Hijrah has so much to offer, so I want to stay on the topic. And with so much lessons that we can draw from the Hijrah, I want to focus on one that, although we spoke about it in the past, I believe it is very relevant to us as Muslim Americans nowadays, which is the Constitution of the Medina. And the reason I focus on it because I believe it offers so much for us. However, I would like, with the little time that I have, it is even though it's only one topic, but still it's rich. So I want to engage you a little bit. I don't want you to sit down and just listen to me. I want to be able to ask you questions and then you answer me. So I don't want to go through the history of the Hijrah. I'm sure you guys all know Mecca, oppression, persecution. So the Prophet left Medina. It is a possibility now for safety and security and so on. The Prophet was really trying to find other locations, but finally Medina became the destination that he chose. My question to you, and think about it a little bit, but it's not a tricky one, it's a simple one. What is, the Prophet arrived to the Medina now, you have a multiplicity of ethnicity. You have people from Rome, Suhaib al-Rumi, you have Salman al-Farisi, you have the Arabs, you have the Jews, you have the Muslims, you have the polytheists. You have a mix. What is the primary objective of person in charge to create in the Medina? And I'm looking through the lenses of the Quran. We were talking about, Mahmoud talked about the Quran, so we stay within the Quran. What is the primary objective of Islam? I'm not about just a relationship between us, the believers, and God, but generally speaking, yes?
It's a way of life.
Keep people together, that's good, but how?
It doesn't have to be necessarily Islamic way, as long as it is defined in God's way. It could be Christianity or Judaism.
I'm being very specific, you're right, but I'm being very specific. The Prophet arriving to the Medina, he has a message, and which is Islam, so yes?
Make a common bond.
That's all good. But what will be the umbrella? Peace. Did someone say peace?
Yeah.
Peace. Let's focus on peace. Harmony comes after it. You're right, but peace. So always remember, because sometimes that should be the first thing should come to our mind. The Prophet here is in the Medina. He has to create what? Peace. Why? I'll give you a small example. How many of us are married? Don't be shy. What is the first, when you look at the verse of the Quran, the first thing Allah talks about, sakina, right? Before love and mercy. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? The verse, we hear it in all the weddings, right? We should know it by heart. Sakina, why? Can you imagine that my wife and I, that we are in conflict all day long? Whether it's about the food, whether it's about the money, whether it's about the kids. Trust you and me, if we want to conflict, there'll be 10 million reasons, right? But Allah started with the sakina first, peace. Why? I'm asking the married man to answer me. Married ladies, why sakina is first? Come on! Is it what? Should we have coffee for all of you? Yes?
Because if we have peace, then there will no room for all these arguments.
There's no more for anything. Love will be gone out of the window, there'll be no mercy. But more importantly, if you're consumed by the inner conflicts, can you offer anything to your community or to your society? Just imagine. So the same thing, you have to realize Islam is not just for us and between us and God. This is the beginning. Islam, it comes to offer something to human civilization. And that in itself, I hope we can spend time in the future. But bear that in mind, the big picture. So without peace, the people of the Medina cannot coexist in harmony. And if they cannot coexist in harmony and they are consumed by inner conflict, they cannot do what? They cannot do anything. And if you look at the Muslim world right now, you could see it's consumed by conflicts. The within conflict, they can't offer anything. They are irrelevant to human civilization. So the first order, the Prophet ﷺ, is to establish peace between a different tribes, backgrounds, religion, role. The people of the Medina, just to let you know also, the gender in Medina is different than the gender in Mecca. Women in Mecca were the third and fourth class. I don't need to go over that. In Medina, no. Because the economy over there is agriculture. Agriculture means that I and my wife, shoulder to shoulder, we have, because of manpower, right? So I can just shut her up. I can marginalize her. What? She's working like me. She's contributing like me. She has the power. So a lot of companions, they were very taken by how powerful and how outspoken the women of the Medina, and they want to complain that it's a different culture. So with the variety, diverse, different religions and different ethnic groups, and we all, I'm not going to even go about the Aus and Khazraj, they were in conflict all the time and so on. So here the Prophet ﷺ, the banner, always remember, يا أيها الذين آمنوا ادخلوا في السلم كافة, all you believe, enter into the abode of peace, all of you. Peace, as-salam. And Islam is from the salam. Assalamu alaikum. I don't have to go through that. We've heard it many times, especially post 9/11. Muslims kept talking about Islam and peace and so on. So I don't know to go, but there's more than 130 or 140 verses about as-salam. Why people talk about war? War, 6-7 verses about war, and it is a exception. So I don't want to go into that topic, but I wanted to make sure that we know. So the primary objective of Islam is what? There's no way you can produce, whether at home or as a nation, to anybody unless there is peace at home. There's peace in your country. So I wanted to start with that first. So now, to have peace, justice is, right? We hear justice all the time. Our imams, mashallah, speak about justice. We Muslims talk about justice. Whether we, exemplify it or not, that's a different topic. But the Quran is strong on that topic of justice. What is the other thing is that to have peace in such a diverse society, what is the first thing? Justice is there. What else it should be? What else Islam offers that the Prophet has to exemplify, has to make it real? We should know that.
Leadership.
Very close.
Leadership.
Leadership for him, you're right. But again, you want the people to come together, right? So justice, we got peace is the objective here. So justice, and people need to feel, to get justice, need to feel what? Equality. Respect definitely will come. But people need to feel that they're equal. And bear with me, because all this is going to come back. I have to connect them. So please stay awake. Respect. Equality, right? So I, as a man, and she's a woman, the moment she feels that I am better than her, or I feel I'm better than her, there's no way we can be equal. If I'm a white, he's a black. If I feel I'm better than him, there's no way. No matter how beautify the words, he will feel it. Come on, brother. I mean, who are you fooling, right? If I'm an Arab and you are not, Suhaib al-Rumi or Salman al-Farisi, if the issue of ethnicity here, I'm an Arab and you're not, come on. So equality has to be real, right? So these are some of the things. What else do you think we need to have peace? So we said equality, justice, what else? That will come later. I love it, purpose, right? So a lot of times, if people don't have a common goal and common purpose, that's what they'll be busy with each other. They'll find reason not to, get along. But if people are busy working and they are focused on a goal, believe you and me, the conflict and the dispute will be a lot less. So here the Prophet ﷺ arrived to the Medina. Now he has to deal with all of this. He has to secure peace. So he writes this constitution that is so famous. Unfortunately, the philosophy of this constitution, it hasn't been given enough research or enough writing, and Muslims haven't exemplified it. They did the first 200-300 years. I'll come to that later. But the Prophet wrote in the constitution an amazing, I was reading, how many of you know Muhammad al-Ghazali, the Egyptian scholar? Okay, you guys know him. So he has a book called Fiqh Muhammad. There's the reason I name Imam al-Ghazali is not the same Muhammad al-Ghazali. Imam al-Ghazali is the old, it's about 800 years ago, he is the scholar, that's why we put the shadda. I want to go into that, but Muhammad al-Ghazali, he is a brilliant guy, God bless his soul. He wrote in Fiqh al-Sirah about the constitution, and something that I really had to read it again. I was reading it, and then I stopped. And when he was talking about the Jews, he said that you are a community equal to us. Wow, I mean, I was like, in me is when I was, I came from Lebanon, I was 17. I was fed throughout my life Muslims better than anybody else. And we are not equal to anybody else. And we are better, our religion is the best, and we are the best, and we are God-chosen people, and. So here I read a prominent telling me that the Jews and I are equal. The Prophet wrote that in Muslim of the Medina. So I flipped it again, like, what did I miss? No, that's true. Now, I'm going to get a little, not tricky on you, but I'm going to be asked you a little tougher questions now. So we hear a lot that we should be tolerant. We hear about tolerance, right? I mean, you hear that day in and day out. And if you look at the constitution of the Medina, it offers something beyond tolerance. Why tolerance is not really, although we use it a lot, Muslims we use it a lot, why I'd like to challenge us a little bit, why I don't believe it is Islamic. Yes?
Tolerance is just sort of acceptance, you can tolerate someone and not care for what they believe or what they stand for. You can, almost be a negative feeling toward a person.
Excellent. Very good. What are you studying?
I'm taking an anthropology class.
All right. Excellent. I like that because he made one mistake in his sentence. He says accept. It's not accept. You take that out. Everything else we said is right on. You don't accept yet. Because I can't look at you negatively and accept you. I will tolerate you. I don't like you. I don't like what you stand for. I don't like your religion. I don't like anything about you. Probably I might like a few things about you. But I don't like what you have. But guess what? I'm nice. I'm generous. I'm compassionate. I will tolerate you. Really? Why? I don't need you to tolerate me. I need you to do what? I want you to accept me. This is what Islam, the constitution, when you look at it, when the Prophet said, Al-Yahudu ummatun mu'minatun mithluna, to me it was like, I was really blown by this statement. The Jews are equal footing like us. What does that mean? I have accepted them as they are, with their religion, with their book, with their culture, right? Now, if I feel, I'm a Muslim, I live in this country, if I am accepted as equal, and you look at me as equal, I can have peace with you. We can work together for the purpose that you talked about, right? So then we are equal on the field of life, and we are playing in a serious game, but you and I are equal, right? So you have the ball, you give me the ball, you have responsibility, I take responsibility. But if you're gonna treat me not as equal, I will always have something inside of me against you. And this harmony that we talked about, this to come together and to create something to humanity is not gonna happen. So this is where Islam offered something unique. It offered coexistence, different than tolerance. And the Constitution of the Medina, it offers that. Now, one thing in Islam did, which is amazing, while it told Muslims, ذَلْكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, that book has no doubt in it. You Muslims, be sure about your religion. When talked about the faith, the Quran reassured all of us and the followers that have no doubt. There's nothing like the book that you guys have. And it will not be altered by anyone, and it's going to be preserved, and so on and so forth, right? So it gives us the sense that be secure of who you are. Now, then it goes and it says, guess what? وَلَا يَزَالُ مُخْتَلِفِينَ. The Quran, while it assures us that we are so certain about our faith, on the flip side, it reminds us of what? Humanity will never be one. Will never be. وَلِذَلِكَ خَلَقَهُ. And that is the purpose that God has chosen, that you will always be different. Is that clear? I wanted to really underline this. The Quran here is reminding us, not that we are diverse, اختلاف ألسنكم وألوانكم, that your color and your language and culture and all this is going to be different. Yeah, the Quran talked about this in abundance, but the Quran goes beyond that. The Quran really offers something to humanity and to is reminding humanity, guys, you will always be different. What does that mean, مختلفين? What does that mean, you're going to be always be different? I'd like to hear from you. You guys are. What does that mean when the Quran says you guys will always be different? What Allah is trying to tell us? Louder? Variety, okay. That's clear. But more than that, look deeper into it.
It doesn't connotation mean superior. Different means okay.
We talk about superiority as equal, right? And so superiority is out of the window. So now we're looking at, just focus on the issue of you're different. Because to accept, I have to accept you with your difference. Go ahead.
You could embrace the differences. You're talking about a city, Medina, there's a lot of things like skyscrapers and cities. In order to build something like that, you need people that have different specialized skills and ways of viewing things in order to create something really.
He did his homework, guys. He's ahead of all of us. I mean, very good. Yes.
The other point again is, which is in the verse, إِنَّ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. So that is again is in order for us to learn. We're not going to learn from someone who is equal to us. Or
Very good.
We learn from someone who's different.
Very good. Yes.
I was going to say, I believe it's a test for us, to be able to not only tolerate but accept each other. It's a test for humanity to come face to face with something that's different, approach it with peace. As
Good.
opposed to, oh, you look like me, so it's a lot
Yes.
easier.
Yes.
I think tolerance is more in line with good faith, because tolerance implies that, I do not agree with you. Whereas for me, acceptance implies agreement. And there's beliefs in the Christian faith and the Jewish faith that is diametrically opposed to the spirit of Islam. The Christian idea of God coming in the person of a man is diametrically opposed to the spirit of Islam. The Jewish belief that you can be a Jew and be an atheist is diametrically opposed to the belief in God. So tolerance says, I will grant you your human rights, civil rights, the equality of what is offered in society. But I do not agree with you.
Okay.
I think acceptance is bad faith.
Yeah.
Unjust compromise, you unjustly compromise.
Very close, very close.
How could you, I don't understand.
Go ahead.
That is very confusing.
It shouldn't be confusing. I'll tell you why. I think we are all, yes, yeah, the last, but always keep it short. Go ahead.
To know each other better.
Okay. When Allah is telling me that you will always be different, that means everything that you guys said were close, but also it means that I am not gonna change all of humanity to be the same as one group. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ جَعَلَكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً. If Allah had willed, He could have made all of us to be the followers of Moses, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I mean God. Or all of us the followers of Jesus. All the followers of Abraham. All the followers of Muhammad. Allah chose not to. And Allah is telling us, no group will have this full dominance of another group. And you have to accept people as they are. It doesn't mean that in the battle or in the market of ideas, I don't promote my product and he product or she promotes her product. That's freedom of expression. But what it means is, and I believe this is very important, when the Prophet ﷺ said that the Jews are a community of believers, that means whatever they believe, equal to us, means I have accepted them as equal. I'm going to use the terminology of today's citizens, because back then there was no country or citizenship. They are equal citizens in the country of Medina like us. I accepted them the way they are. I am not here to change them, to convert them, to coerce them, to debate them. I could debate, the scholars can debate, but I am not here for that purpose. I am here to coexist, and as Hidab said, so we can learn from each other. Nobody has the full truth. Nobody knows it all, except if you are revealed, if you have revelation from God, right? I mean, messengers and prophets are a different breed. Allah, God Almighty, He intervenes and He guides them and so on. But for us, what the Quran is telling us and what the Prophet in this constitution, he is looking at the polytheists. He's looking at the Arabs. He's looking at the Jews. He's looking at the Muslims. And he's telling them, all of you are accepted in this new state at equal footing, provided you provide peace and you do not collaborate with the enemy against us. Is that clear? So to have peace, I'll leave you alone. You accept the way you are. I have no problem. I don't believe in what you believe in. You know, I don't believe in Jesus being crucified, but I'm not here to change your mind. You want to learn, fine, but I'm not here to coerce you and impose, because I'll accept you. And the moment you say mukhtalifin, means I'll accept you with all your differences. You cannot filter. Someone will come and say, I'll accept you Muslims only because let's say we are Muslims in a Christian, so we'll say I'll accept you, but I do not accept that on this part of your faith, or this part of your culture, or this part, I don't like how you dress your ladies. I don't like how you dress. I don't like this about your religion. No, you accept me the way I am. I am happy the way I am. You're happy the way you are. I accept you the way you are, and you accept me the way I am. That's the only way I believe, Allahu Alam, that the Constitution has secured the citizens of the Medina that you are accepted the way you are. As a human being, but human being with all the rights what you believe in. Because one thing about Islam, it secures, and I like Ibn Ashur, who, you guys know about the 5 maqasid al-Sharia, there are 5 reasons for the Sharia. Sharia protects human life, protects the mind, protects the religion, and so on. Ibn Ashur said also it should protect freedom. You cannot be a true believer unless you have a freedom. If people coerce you to change, force you to change, it's not a real faith, real faith, should be based on what? Yeah, a little bit louder. Ladies, I don't want you just to be an audience. I want you to,
Your own choice.
Free choice.
you have to. Liberty is important, brothers and sisters. You cannot say that I can impose my, somebody comes and say, well, you have to be a Christian, or you have to be a Jew, or you have to be this, or else. What kind of religion is that? What kind of relationship with God is that if I am forced to do this? So liberty is important. Freedom is important. And you are free to believe in what you want. You are free to act, of course, within the laws that the country, to preserve peace and rights for others. But it is very important that I accept you the way you are without me trying to change you, without me forcing you to change. Is there? I believe this is much more, in my humble opinion, Islamic than tolerance. I believe coexistence is what Islam brought. I believe tolerance is probably step one. But the essence of Islam is to create in the society to coexist. Accept me the way I am, with all the way I believe in. I accept you the way you are. And we together should work together and to create. I like that. Who knows about the story of Salman Farisi and the Khunduq and the ditch around? Can you tell us the story quickly?
Sure. When the non-believers wanted to, the enemies wanted to attack the people of Medina, the Prophet, peace be upon him, was organizing, how to defend Al-Medina, and then Salman al-Farisi came and recommended. I think initially the Prophet, peace be upon him, made a recommendation, and Salman asked him, is this your recommendation, or is it an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And the Prophet said that it was his recommendation as a human being, and that's where Salman came and suggested, let's dig the khandaq, or the ditch around Medina, because he probably had more experience than the Prophet, peace be upon him, in that area.
The story, we all know it, right? I mean, I don't need to, it's not, you know the story. No, but now you do,
Yeah.
all right? Now, Salman is not an Arab. Salman is what? He's Iranian. Let's go with the terminology of today, right? He's Iranian. Now, who saved the day? A person outside the culture who brought with him his own experience. You get to know one another and to learn, like the brother said, to learn from each other. I mean, you've got really, the creative mind sometimes is good when you have people working together. He has different experience. He saved the day. And really, that was out of the ordinary. He said, we, in Iran, this is how we fight when we are outnumbered. When the enemy is stronger and bigger than us, this is our experience. Right? So he brought an experience from outside. He's a citizen who comes from a different culture, but can you imagine if he felt inferior, didn't feel accepted at equal footing? Why should he be creative or share his experience or add much? Trust you and me, and I go back to the United States where we are right now. I really wanted to focus on this because I believe we live, although I come from Lebanon, I say that I love here, but I came in 1979 and I noticed that we really shifted from coexistence to barely tolerating each other. I mean, Democrat and Republican, you have a black and white, and now you have Latino, now we have men and women, we have, the whole debate about whether 80 cents on the dollar and, women are getting paid. With all the revolution and all the things that we brag about, we are still talking about we have not accepted each other as equal in building this nation. And I believe that this is not the brilliancy of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the brilliancy of Quran. Because the Prophet wrote a constitution. He didn't write it just because he's out of this world, creative man. He was a great statesman, yes. He wasn't just any man, yes. But Quran, he's a student of the Quran first and foremost, inspired him, guided him. And really, the whole Mecca, you start looking about the equality, looking about the freedom of faith, freedom of expression. Can you imagine somebody debating with God? Satan talking, speaking freely to God. If people talk about freedom of expression, now we don't even dare to say anything in the Muslim world. Satan. And God recorded that in the book. Well, what does that mean? That freedom of expression, freedom of faith, freedom of moving. We want to build a huge wall, and God said, free to move, free to seek opportunities, and so on. So all this inspired the Prophet ﷺ. He wrote this constitution, and I believe it is one of a kind because it really offers something to humanity. Unfortunately, if you look at Muslims, those people who know history, you look at the Umayyad period or the Abbasi period, which is about 250 years from the time of the Medina. You will find, I'm not saying perfect, a human being will never be perfect, but if you look at Muslim accepting others was amazing. As we started going away from that beacon of inspiration, the Medina, and away from the companions and those who follow the companions who were true to the Quran, true to the teaching of the Prophet ﷺ, what happened? We became less accepting of the other. And one thing I want to leave you with: who's usually is less accepting, and I'm going to use the word tolerant. Is it the one who is self-secure or the one who is insecure? When Muslims were secure about who they are, they were really on top of the game. Philosophy and science and research and moral values and social development. They were really, their identity, they really felt good about who they are. They became the light that was producing to human civilization. They were accepting. Look at history. Don't take my word for it. I'm really putting teasers for you to go and look at history. When Muslims were at the top of their game, closer to the revelation, closer to the time of the Prophet, inspired, they were secure, accepting. As they start losing their identity, slowly eroding, it takes time, slowly eroding, they became less accepting. And now, if you go to the Muslim world, we are in the worst time ever. Nobody is accepting anybody, Shia or Sunni. And if you are within the same Sunni, you will find nobody accepting the different schools. You look within the same Shia, nobody is accepting Muslims or Christians. I mean, it is a mess. But I'm talking about an area where we are supposed to be dominant, a lot of Muslims, the majority. You will find, if you look back from the time of the Medina, for about 200-300 years, let's say about 300 years, be generous, and then things start, slowly deteriorating. More secure we are, you walk into a room and you'll find someone who's strong, financially strong or intellectually strong or body strong. Would he be provoked or would she be provoked by anyone? I mean, I'm strong, what? But if I'm insecure, you say small things and you will really push my button, as they say. Because people, when we are insecure, we quickly become defensive. We quickly react, and we become less accepting of ideas of others, less, ready to engage the other. More secure we are, stronger we are, on a stronger footing that we stand of who we are, more accepting of the others. So, and this is why the Prophet ﷺ, you look, that Medina will always be, in my humble opinion, that beacon of inspiration for us, because you look around and you don't find that many nowadays, unfortunately. There is a country, does anyone knows Oman?
Yes.
So I was listening to a they did a video about Oman. I was watching on Al Jazeera, I believe, and I leave you with that thought. I was very impressed. Does anyone know anything about Oman that is pertinent to what I am talking about?
Muscat, I believe, is a trading port, right? So you have a lot of people all over the world coming into Muscat.
Yes, but go ahead.
You have a lot of people from all over the world coming into Muscat.
You're close. You're close. What they did is they came into the mosque, and the camera was taping, and they saw people standing like this, people standing like this, people standing like this. People had a little stone on the ground, and they walked around. And you know, the Shi'i had the Ithna Ashariya, and they have the Ismailis, and they have the Yazidi, and then the Shia and the Sunni have a different schools of thought. Probably, I don't remember, but probably 9, 10 school of thoughts, different sects. They're all praying under one imam. Oh, very good. This is where in Oman, unfortunately, when you look at the Muslim world, it says not. But that was very an eye-opener.
The problem here, every group, they open their own mosque.
Exactly. So here, I mean, you know, I know there's a guy that I listen to sometimes, and he was attacked so viciously because he went and he prayed in a Shi'i mosque in Kuwait. He was invited to go to Kuwait, and he was in Kuwait, and he was walking by, he saw a mosque, he went in and he realized that the Shi'i, he loved it, he's a Sunni, and he prayed and he had no problem. The poor guy, by the time he went back, he lives in Europe, by the time he made back to Europe, the satellites and the programs were attacking him. That guy, we told you he's not a Sunni, he's a Shi'i, and this is finally the truth revealed. The guy prayed in a mosque. You know, so when I heard about Oman, I was like, wow, now this is Islam, this is the accepting, this is what is all about. As the brother said, it's not, I am a Pakistani, I'll go open my own mosque. If I'm an Arab, I'll open my own mosque. If I am an African American, I'll open my own mosque. Now, if it is the Shi'i have their own mosque, and not just any Shi'i, the Iranians, I mean, this brilliancy of Islam, this divine touch that transformed the community of the Medina with all the diverse background, Muslims and non-Muslims, into a one unit that really changed the world. Brothers and sisters, you cannot introduce much to anybody unless there's peace. And if there's no peace, you will be consumed and you will be irrelevant and we will be nothing. Unfortunately, I'd like to leave on a positive note. We are, as Muslims, Americans, I don't like, I'm sure we don't like what we see right now. The African American and the white, and it's just not, this is not the country that we want. At least things are not going in the right direction. And I believe we, inspired by our faith, inspired by who we are, by this great mother of the Medina, I think we should be active, whether with the mosque, whether other organizations that are working for acceptance. Any organization that is promoting division, talking about tolerance in such a way, I would like us as Muslims who's enlightened, talk about accepting the other as they are. I am not here to change you. You want to be a Democrat, God bless. But let's work together what's best for America. As she said, the purpose. We want peace. We want to coexist. Nobody should, he or she should feel we are less. When my daughter gets paid 80 cents on the dollar because she's a lady, and my son gets $1, we should not tolerate that. We as Muslims should not accept that. When it comes to, so many other things, I don't want to go into that. But, so I am hoping today I could remind us what the Hijrah meant, remind us what the constitution of the Medina meant, remind us what our religion means, and let us make sure that we live that Islam. We live it. Other Muslims choose not to, it's up to them, but we live it, and we become the contributor to our American society. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. And any questions before I wrap up? No questions? MashaAllah. All right. Assalamu alaikum. We'll see you next time, inshallah.
Because the explanation of that was very